What's up, y'all? Check this out, in the rain. So it's the 4th of October 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. I love this. We're in Utah, right? In the Image Clothing Company, this is where we're based. It rarely ever rains, and it's fall, which I feel like, I don't know, rain is like a springtime thing. I'm out here, rain or shine. Sometimes I am and sometimes I'm not. Check this out though. We'll get into this. This video is titled "The Right Hand Loosens and the Left Hand Tightens." And we'll get into why, but yeah, there's a little context on what this will be because we'll do our intro. I'll talk about each of the 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company, where clothing sits, and then, yeah, we'll really talk about this, okay? The right hand loosening would be internally rotating, and the left hand tightening would be internally rotating as well, okay? We'll get into it, keeping the body centered in rotations in the ways that is, because we do things in life that are rotations and just not thinking about it, okay? But within the right-handed world, right, opposing these patternings we get into, I'll really discuss this, okay? There's a lot that comes with this, so stick around into this if you'd like to, through our intros that are sometimes decently long, okay? Quite a few minutes usually is what I mean. So the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, that's where we are here. That's where I am underneath this tree covering with my makeshift tripod in the rain, okay? We allow the human body to work. The human body is just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. There's only one way it could ever work. There's a neutral position to every joint. Like the wrist, it's something easy to show on camera. There's a neutral position and then motion all outside of that neutral. It's kind of cold, my hands are a little bit chilly, so dexterity is a little bit slowed down in my fingers right now, okay? But there's a center line as well to the body. A neutral joint and everything, but also here in the center where my buttons sit on this button-up shirt, the sternum, okay? And then behind that, the spine, the trachea in our neck, the nose here with 2 nostrils opposing the center, and our jaw. The jaw naturally stabilizes the entire body, and these things need to be in the center of the body because Earth also has a center of gravity that it pulls down on everything with, and that needs to mesh with our body's physical center. We place clothing on our bodies though, and if it's imbalanced, just imbalanced seams, oversized, ropes introduced to the body, rotating the body potentially, we can get into these chronic patternings and scar tissue that gets built up over years, decades, our whole life maybe. And then that doesn't mesh with there's only one way the human body could ever work. But the truth is there is only one way the human body could ever work. So we discuss the anatomy of the human body in depth here. We give free modifications in clothing to allow the body to work. And we will always have good clothing under InTheImageClothingCompany.com. Doing these 3 things are the main things, right? Staying centered, fitting correct, where I'll discuss here in a minute when I talk about where clothing sits, and being made from 100% natural materials because our bodies are natural, and unnatural materials are one of those things that only are decades old. Materials in clothing that are unnatural often bring stretch with them. Stretch goes the opposite direction of the only way that muscles could ever work. All musculature within the body just shortens or contracts to operate. And the human body only ever works activated as a whole. Everything's there, and so it all has to work together. Otherwise, we're trying to drag around dead weight, and that can't happen, okay? So these are the things we do, but we discuss everything we do in our lives. It's not just about clothing. We just focus on clothing because it's the only thing placed physically on our bodies. Eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, everything we do though as a human being gets discussed under In the Image Clothing Company. Neutral, natural, and normal are synonyms with how the body works, and so we just try to keep everything natural. Okay, do everything the way that God designed our bodies in His image, in the image of Jesus Christ is how our bodies were designed, just to work, okay? So, here we are, the main side. We also have another 4th of us in the Image Clothing Company podcast And that's where we have deep discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. I get into it. We're on episode 163 as of the last one we filmed. Blunt, bold, raw, real, in the Image Clothing Company style, if you will. And it's great, actually. We're all the same human beings placed on the same earth. We have one God who designed all this. So we imperfectly discuss him there as he says that he is. It's really cool. A lot of insights on life, just no matter if you're religious or if you're from this part of the earth or wherever you came from or background or whatever, and whatever again, we're just the same thing here. Yeah, in the Image Clothing Company, man. So, yeah. In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, another one of our fourths. We specialize in purebred standard poodles. We breed them, properly registering them under the American Kennel Club, and advocating for things like this, registering our dogs to keep less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes, being a good owner of dogs and how to. We give a lot of information on a lot of things with dogs. Letting dogs stay natural is our slogan. The same thing as allowing the human body to work, but we phrase it differently for dogs. We will always do a lot of beautiful things that you can involve yourself with under In the Image Clothing Company. One of those is poodle parade events. You can probably just barely see the mountains through the clouds, but the state of Utah here, the United States of America, we've got beautiful mountains. Anywhere that we do them in nature, okay, at parks, in water areas, poodle parade events under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles are something you can bring your purebred poodles of any size to, or poodle mixes of any size. And I'll give information on letting dogs stay natural. We'll just have fun though as well. We talk about interacting with our dogs as owners so our bodies don't get altered, but also collars, leashes, harnesses, things we will have under InTheImageClothingCompany.com with our human being clothing to not alter the dogs. We talk about keeping our collars centered as human beings because there's musculature that goes through the collar of our tops. Dog collars get very, very, very imbalanced a lot of the time with the weight, dog tags placed on them, bulkiness to them, right? Leashes pulling on dogs and things that we just discuss how to let be more natural. And so your dog will listen to you better as well with the commands you give them. Behavioral issues and things that can come up, we address. We do a lot, okay? Specializing in purebred standard poodles, okay? But our information applies to all dogs, that does, besides the things that are just poodle specific, like grooming things that are specific to poodles and temperament things if and where, right? Otherwise though, just dogs in general we give information to, like human beings in general, okay? So there you go. A little bit of a rundown on those three. We've got In the Image Clothing Company music as the last fourth to mention here. A lot of what I do there is show how to size and set up guitars. See, my hands are cold, and also this is good to see. Still, as of today's date, I can't fully keep my fingers together on my right hand because of patterning, built up bone mass between my knuckles here and my right hand, all in the forearm and the elbow. And the things we talk about, this chronic patterning that we get into, the right-handed world under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, that's our focus, is allowing the body to work, like I'm saying, and like we've said with the main side's discussion here of what we are, the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. This is a testament to just knowing you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do. Being out here, I can show this because it's crazy what the cold will do to the hands, and I can't extend my right fingers and keep my fingers in line. You can see it. I can't make it up. I can't exaggerate it. I've got videos before today's date talking about patterning in the right hand and the right forearm, the right elbow, you know. Yeah, I can't put my fingers together. They kind of look like they're not working properly, and they're not, but you can just really see it. That's awesome for the sake of the documentation. As time progresses and I get more natural again, right? As I rid these patternings more than I have up until today's date, you'll be able to see the difference from, now till whatever then is, right? That's a lot of what we do here under In The Image Clothing Company, is just documentation, date marking things, so you can see that things line up and the fruits of the labor, right? Putting in this labor, and later we get to eat the fruit from the tree that we worked to grow, if you will, right? Parables within the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's a lot of what this is. That's a lot of what these videos are, is the point, really, with saying that more than anything else. That's the point of us. Anyway, you can tell I'm humbled by this. It's as real as it gets, as I say. It's as obvious as it is once you see it, right? The things we talk about, keeping clothing fitting us. Clothing truly is the only fix to human beings' physical problems. These things aren't claims, and we see it once we see it, but we just don't know what we don't know. So, yeah. Back to In The Image Clothing Company music, I show sizing and setup of guitars so we don't get into things like this, chronic patterning from playing guitar. I also do a lot of lyricism. We have Metronome Madness, where I do gospel of Jesus Christ geared messaging through wordplay, you could call it rap, and a lot of freestyling, right? Just off the top. So we've got 29 episodes of Metronome Madness as of the last one that I made, and whatever else we get into with music, okay? So, clothing for everybody has to sit in the same location. It doesn't matter if you are a man or a woman, tall or short, skinny or fat, any age or from any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, you are just a human being. And your pants have to be above your hips. We have what's called our natural waist. Right here above our hip bones, but below our lowest ribs, where we bend side to side at our spine. Our pants then are not altering the functionality of our pelvis or our hips by being placed on them. With our pants at our natural waist, they need to sit slightly higher in the front than the rear, because that way we can keep our musculature activated and working together vertically neutral on Earth's gravity. In addition to pants, we have tops, and the seams on top of our shoulders need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders. Our shoulders only ever work behind our head. That's just where they connect mechanically, and our shoulders follow shoulder seams. The edges of our tops should just be as close as we can get to the edge of our shoulder functionality. We join the arm bone to the collarbone and the scapula, as well as joining the top material to the sleeve material. It should be as close as we can get to the same location there to allow the shoulders to work. Then we have two things we call prerequisites under In The Image Clothing Company. Firstly, shoelaces are just ropes weaved across the top of our feet. There's only one way we'll shape that weave of a rope, the way that the bones, tendons, ligaments, and muscles in the feet grip arches inward, opposing the center line, and keep us vertical on Earth's gravity, okay? That's what we title In The Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, found wherever you can find our 5-word name as a whole. With that, we tie our shoes just to keep them on, and we have to tie shoes evenly over toward the center line of the body on both sides. Opposing knots will make our bodies even, okay? 20 years I went until I was 24 years old. It was right around 20 full years of tying my shoes toward the same direction, rotating my whole body from my feet all the way to the tip of my head and the tips of my fingers. And that's what gets us into this right-handed patterning, as well as drawstring knots, as well as oversized clothing falling to our right side, if it's our dominant side, which 85% give or take of the population is. Okay, so this video, the right hand loosens and the left hand tightens. This will oppose our right-handed patterning, okay? It goes right along with the video that I made under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company titled Keeping the Right Hand on Top. The position I've been in this video when my hands are clasped together, because it's the same thing as loosening something with your right hand, internally rotating your right hand, okay? But our second prerequisite to shoelacing is removing all tags from clothing. Anywhere tags are placed within clothing, they're either causing a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, and or just not allowing musculature to activate. Then the body tries to compensate for something not being able to work, but everything's there for a reason. Everything has a role to play. It has to be allowed to play its role, okay? So let's get into this. The right hand loosening and the left hand tightening, okay? That's what we need to do in our lives, in a sense, at least be able to see this and have it be able to happen. Not that every time you ever loosen something, you have to do it with your right hand, right? That's not what I'm saying, trying to tell people to do. And not that every time you tighten something, you have to do it with your left hand. That's not what I'm saying or what I'm trying to tell you to do. But to see the mechanics, that's what we need to be able to do evenly on both sides of our bodies. Loosen something or tighten it with our right hand and have this motion in the wrist, right? See, from the neutral, straight out from the pinky finger, from the outside of the forearm, just like those pinky toes, straight out forward from the outside of the foot. Then you've got that neutral lower leg up to the knee that can track in line through the whole body. If we're here at our neutral pinky, out from our forearm, then our elbows can track in line. And then we've got even rotations, internal at the forearms, as well as at the feet, okay, straight out from those pinkies, toes, or fingers. And then we can come back to neutral, and we've got external rotation, okay? Neutral, internal rotation, neutral, external rotation. This is how the body works in its neutrals, is how the body works. And then outside of that, you've got motion in both directions, okay? So the point is, with this video of the right hand loosens, the left hand tightens, is look where I'm going when I do that. With my hands, I'm coming toward the center line of my body. When my right hand is going to loosen something or turn it left, right? Growing up, I always heard lefty loosey, righty tighty, so that you can remember which way you twist things to either loosen them or tighten them. So it's just like our shoe lacing. On our right foot, we need to tie a left-handed knot over toward the center line. Look at this. My right hand loosening is twisting left-handed, in a sense, to the center line of my body. On our right foot, when we tie our shoes, we tie, if I said right foot, I meant to say left this time. On the left foot, we tie a right-handed knot over toward the center line, just like our left hand here, turning right inward to the center line and tightening, okay? Lefty loosey with the right hand, okay? Righty tighty with the left hand, okay? The point is, we need to get to the center line of our bodies. Earth's gravity, okay? It has a center line. So the more centered we can be, the less effect gravity has on our bodies. But there's also just two sides to our bodies. Musculature connects from the outside of the shoulder to the sternum here in the center in the front on both sides. And it connects from the shoulder out here to the spine in the center on both sides in the rear, okay? Musculature connects to the center of the body. The human body's musculature can only shorten or contract to work, to actually do a function, to activate, to make anything happen in any sense of musculature and just the fibers firing in the muscles, okay? The only other way is relaxing. And so to do any kind of function, we have to have our muscles shortening, and they come to the center line of the body. And so when we get into these chronic patternings, we lose our internal rotation, which is toward the center line of the body, right? With musculature contracting. So if we have oversized clothing, it'll pull us into external rotation. If we have our shoes tied unevenly toward the right side on both feet, the right side's being pulled externally, right? Away from the center line of the body. And so being within a right-handed world where 85%, give or take, of human beings are right-handed, products are designed to be used with the right hand for just one-hand operation, more than they'd ever be designed to be used for the left hand, just because the majority of people are right-handed, the vast majority. Yeah, we get into these right-handed patternings, okay? The right side gets rotated externally, it gets dropped lower, it gets farther away from the body, the musculature is being pulled on, and half of our rotation, being internal rotation, gets basically almost entirely, to a degree, taken away, right? It gets really, really, really taken away, inhibited, not able to work. And so on the right side, being in this right-handed patterning, externally rotated, what we do if we grab something like a jar or a bottle or something we're going to take the lid off of and rotate it lefty-loosey, we'll grab that thing, and our right hand in a right-handed world and a right-handed patterning will already be lower. So we'll take our right hand and grab the bottle. Let's say for this, we'll say it's a bottle, and our left hand will already be just on top, of our right. Oh, I'm cold. I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna keep going because this is really, really huge. We'll just grab things with our right hand. It's just more natural for us, being right-handed. And our left hand, it can internally rotate easier, and so here, hold on. You know what? I don't know why I stopped. That was like a hard stop. Because that's the case. I don't know why I'm caught up on it. Yeah, we will grab things with our right hand. The right side's just dropped. I don't know if it just humbled me. I think that's what it is. I think I just got humbled. I wasn't even saying it wrong. I just got so humbled by this. That's what happened. The tone of my voice changed. Yeah, and this is huge. In a right-handed world, we're just gonna reach out and grab something with our right hand. You're going to drink it with your right hand. A bottle, being right-handed. We have a video. Yeah, I just got humbled. That's what it was. I was like, did I say something wrong? No, it's because of how right this is. Eating and drinking with the left hand. A video we have under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. Something we just talk about. The left hand just meaning our non-dominant. We talk about how the jaw stabilizes the entire body, and so keeping our jaw in the center, over our body's center line, over Earth's center of gravity, to allow our bodies to stay stabilized by our jaw, neutrally, okay? If you can see what I mean by that, and if not, check out the videos we have under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company on the jaw. Workouts don't help the jaw, the mechanics of the human jaw. We've got a lot of videos though discussing the jaw and its role in stabilizing the whole body. Yeah, there's musculature in the jaw that starts here at the lower jawbone and goes all the way up between our ears and our eyes to the crown of our head, and yeah, really stabilizes our whole body as well as just our head on top of our body, being the highest point on Earth's gravity. But you're just right-handed, eating and drinking with your right hand all the time, unless for some reason you'd grab it with your other hand, you're non-dominant. It's just very uncommon unless we're aware that we need to stay centered, right? I just about never in my past would eat or drink with my left hand because, well, I am more comfortable doing things being right-handed with my right hand, right? That's what it means to be right hand dominant. But if you grab a bottle with your right hand, then your left hand will be the one that's not holding the bottle, and so you'll bring that on top of the bottle and loosen the bottle, right? But I think the reason I'm caught up, quote unquote, caught up on that, as well as just being humbled by how big this is because the left hand is the one that we would have be tightening something to get to the center. And so I am caught up on this. I just want to say this correct in the way that it's actually happening, because yeah, that is the point. This video is just how it is. I know that it's not continually me speaking. There's this part of me being like humbled by this. That is what's going on. That's the point. We would want, yeah, that is what it is. That's why it's wrong, if you will. That's why I'm just so taken back by this. I'm humbled by how real this is. Yeah. If you were to loosen the bottle with your left hand, that's exactly what I'm saying. You're actually externally rotating your left hand. And now you put your wrist into a position that's not neutral, okay? Both of your wrists away from your body's center. You grab something with your right hand, you loosen the top of it with your left, you're rotating into an incorrect position for your body. But if we were to grab a bottle with our left hand and loosen it with our right hand, look where I am here. Neutral, centered, at my center line. And then we drink it with our non-dominant, for those right-handed people, hand, right? Or the left hand here. And we're more centered than if we were in a right-handed patterning, because it's opposing our patterning as right-handed people, as just the majority of the earth, but as the right-handed world with designs as well. Clothing designs, product designs. This is so beautiful. I'm cold, I'm shivering, I'm wet. I got so taken back by just really how big this specific video actually is. This is awesome. The documentation. My hand can't actually work in line the only way the human body could ever work. The hands have to track where the fingers track in line, and I just can't even do that as of today's date, and it's able to be documented in this. Just the magnitude of this video is amazing. I love this so much. So that's the point. We would, as right-handed people, need to grab something with our left hand so that our right hand could loosen it, right? The right hand loosens, the left hand tightens to stay in our center line, okay, and neutral. So that is the point. That I was saying it just exactly correct. That's crazy how real this is. And that was the point of the video, but just it hit me so hard when I started saying it and realizing like how the explanation is being laid out. So yeah, you know, we're right hand dominant, so we would maybe think that would be our right side that would be the strongest for us. But actually, the reason we're right hand dominant is because it's the side of our bodies that's the most inhibited, and it's just kind of like falling forward in our lives. External rotation brings the body forward, like the scapula, the big bones on the upper back. When, look at my pinky finger and my fingers, I can't get my hand closed. This video is huge. This is amazing documentation. Like I'm saying, that's a lot of what we do, is just documenting things as far as the reason for our videos, to show congruency, if you will, to show that things just line up and they are what they are. We speak truth here under In The Image Clothing Company. This is unreal. This video specific, this is amazing. So yes, our scapulas will come off of our back when the musculature contracts or shortens to suck them nicely against our rib cage and closer to each other, closer to the spine. When they're working correct, the scapulas on our bodies, which are our shoulders. And so when our right side's inhibited, that right scapula will be falling like up and off of the rib cage, and the right arm will just be forward more. So when we reach for things, that's why we are right-handed, if you will. One of the reasons is the right side's just more forward, and you go up to something and your right arm will just get there before your left in an externally rotated position, because the musculature that contracts to internally rotate will pull the shoulder back. Like I was saying, I talked about in that video titled Keeping the Right Hand on Top, under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. If you can see what that does, the right hand being on top or internally rotating is the same as loosening something with your right hand, like a cap on top of a bottle, okay? So that is the point. We would just be in this right-handed position where we're falling forward on the right side, more external. We'd grab a bottle, we'd bring it to our bodies, we'd put our left hand on top, we'd loosen the bottle, putting our wrist into an incorrect position, and there you go. We're just still in the same patterning and kind of training into an imbalance even farther. Actually, that really is happening. Furthering, if you will, our imbalance by every motion we do that just enforces the same position that we need to oppose, okay? So in our lives, if we can focus on this and see that, our right hand twisting left just means coming to the center line of the body. Our left hand twisting right just means coming to the center line of our bodies, okay? In the case of something like taking a cap off of a bottle or putting a cap on a bottle, right? Opening a jar or closing a jar. These things, we just need to rotate to the center line of our bodies, and our musculature can then contract to the center line of our bodies. So this comes from, golly, it's cold. It's so cold for me right now. I'm cold. We need to be able to just eat and drink with our left hand though, because then you would just grab something with your left hand, because if you're going to use that side to drink from it, then your hand will be on the bottle itself rather than on the cap, the left hand, and your right one will be the one that just needs to do the other thing. One hand needs to hold the bottle, one hand needs to take the cap off it. So you hold it with your left hand, your right hand will just rotate inward to take the cap off. And now you can be more centered, okay? A big part of it is just what we've decided as a society that we make our threads as, right? When they design things like a bolt or a screw, when you twist it in, right? Righty tighty, lefty loosey. The twist is actually just going in a certain direction in the actual design of the manufacturing of the bolt or of the bottle or of the jar, right? Like I'm saying, and that's just what it's become. And if it were the opposite direction, then we would actually get into a left-handed patterning, and we'd be in a left-handed world in a sense, right? This is what I mean. We live in a right-handed world. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's not only our bodies, but it's what we design as human beings that is right-handed. Because if it was actually righty-loosey, lefty-tighty, then, you know, we'd use our right hand to loosen something and our left hand to tighten it, and we'd actually get into an opposite patterning, okay? Just because it'd be opposite rotations for the body to do its thing. Yeah, to do its thing. I love this. I'm so humbled by what is happening in this video. This is amazing. and just the time period, what's going on in my life under In The Image Clothing Company as the founder. It's really crazy where I'm at with this. So when we open doors, okay, doorknobs, if you can rotate a doorknob to open it, and picture the same thing, the thumb coming to the center of the body, okay, internal rotation, getting the wrist more to a position that's neutral, okay, because what we'll do often is reach down for a doorknob to rotate it, right, to open a door, and our right arm will reach down, which is more external anyway, because the musculature that internally rotates the shoulders elevate the shoulders as well, right? Keeping the right hand on top is what will happen if we internally rotate the right side more than the left. And so we contract our musculature, internally rotating, we elevate our bodies, and that's not going to happen reaching down for a doorknob. You're already rotating external to reach down. That's just what happens. You won't be reaching down naturally with internal rotation. You'd be reaching up with internal rotation, and then you'd be reaching down with external rotation, just because of where the scapula will have to move on the rib cage in the back. It will rotate, you know, from the shoulder out to the pinky finger. As I say, the shoulders are essentially the hands, the feet are essentially the hips. The same rotation will happen all the way up, because that scapula has to physically move around the rib cage in the back, just because it's a bone sitting on the exterior of our ribs, and the musculature that moves it will cause more internally rotating positions to happen when you go up, and more externally rotating positions to happen when you go down. So you reach down for a doorknob, and you'll just automatically want to rotate external with your right hand to open the door. But if we can focus on reaching down for a doorknob and rotating it with our thumb going in toward the center line of our bodies, right, internal rotation, then even if we're using our right hand, being right hand dominant in a right-handed world, we still will be rotating internally to open the door, and that will elevate our shoulders, that will get our bodies more centered, okay, and oppose the right-handed patterning we're in. And that's essentially, well, that's exactly actually what the video is titled, is the right hand loosens, the left hand tightens, okay? Because most doorknobs will open twisting it either way, but if you reach down with your right hand, just twist it left. If you reach down with your left hand, just twist it right. And then we stay centered as we do things in our lives, okay? So this is where I'll leave this. It's really cold. I'm really wet. I mean, the temperature isn't that cold. It's Utah. We get really cold temperatures, you know. It's definitely nowhere near even freezing temperature, right? It's not snowing yet. It's still raining, but I'm cold. So I love this. This video can live on forever and always be just as valid for every human on the face of the earth. So there you go, okay? Internal rotation, that's where it will come from. And just doing these things will cause us to eat and drink with our left hand. And just doing these things will cause us to raise our bodies by internally rotating, and meaning just activating musculature and keeping us working as human beings, rather than externally rotating and, you know, not working as a human being and then wanting to wear oversized clothing because our bodies are falling down and really they're just lacking half of their rotation if they can't internally rotate, okay? So there you go. I'm gonna go walk away from here and get into a shelter. I'm gonna go back to where I live. It's cold, okay? I'm like pretty darn wet. I chose this location because it's under a tree. The camera is under this leaning tree, so it's not actually getting wet, but it's just raining pretty hard right now. Today is the 4th of October 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This was a beautiful video. In so many ways, I want to just express my gratitude as I stand here and shiver. It's cold, okay? Stick around for the poodles. We are blunt, bold, raw, real. This is us. This is In the Image Clothing Company. This is how it will be for life. I mean, it might change the way that it looks, you know, maybe a lot, maybe a little bit, but just meaning we are who we are, okay? It'll be so fun. Poodle parade events, who knows? Utah has sometimes very unpredictable weather. Very rarely does it rain, but temperature-wise and, you know, it's just kind of something you can't expect normally, the weather to be a certain thing just because of a season. No, not in Utah, not usually. So stick around for the poodles. I'm gonna say it again and again and again. Stick around for the poodles. It'll be so big. Always a huge name in poodles. We do a lot for the environment in the ways that we do through poodles. That's a big way that we do that. Clean the Creek specific poodle parade events where we'll actually go around and pick up trash, right? A lot of cool stuff, and just expect it to be like this, right? This is what we're aiming for, is authenticity, just being real, and sometimes that means being very, very cold. So thank you, okay? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Poodle puppies, when the litters are available, check in InTheImageClothingCompany.com. Fill out an application if you'd like, but there's a strict screening process so we can keep these dogs in good homes for life. Yeah, thank you. Goodbye.